10 days after disaster hit Tonga, how's the international community's relief and rehabilitation plan doing? Is there a risk of out of sight, out of mind for Tonga? And talking of risks, research says the global pandemic has cast another shadow as COVID-related stress disorders rise. How to face the challenge? Welcome to The Point, an opinion show coming to you live from Beijing. I'm Li Xin. While the media coverage of Tonga is dwindling 10 days after it faced a double whammy, the people still need sustained assistance for recovery. The United Nations says news coverage of the volcanic eruption and tsunami has started to fade, but the resources on the ground are not enough. Has the world started to forget Tonga? Can organizations like the International Committee of the Red Cross or ICRC get the attention Tonga needs? And how challenging will be the relief work? I'm pleased to be joined from Suva, Fiji by Vincent Ochile, head of a regional delegation in the Pacific of the International Committee of the Red Cross, and from here in Beijing, Fu Jie, liaison officer of China Search and Rescue, a classified international rescue team under the Chinese Ministry of Emergency Management. Gentlemen, welcome to The Point. So the UN coordination specialist in Tonga, Siona Hufanga, said the resources that we have in the ground are not enough. Tongan people need sustained assistance to cope with a disaster of this scale. So, Mr. Ochile, the Tonga Red Cross has been mobilizing urgent rescue assistance in the country with the ICRC support. What is the current relief plan, and how many people are on the ground from the ICRC?
Thank you, first of all, for inviting me. Show. About 10 days after the tragedy happened in Tonga, we know a bit more about the humanitarian consequences of that tragedy there. And houses have been destroyed, and 3 people have lost their life, and people have been injured. And we know quite well now about the needs, about the water, about shelter, and also food. And international community and countries like Australia, New Zealand, and the international organizations like Australian Red Cross, New Zealand Red Cross, and also the Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent, they are mobilizing their effort in terms of food, water, and shelter. And all these items are flocking in at the moment that we are talking.
Well, I have to bring in this very latest development, which is about Chinese aid supplies for Tonga departing from Fiji, actually. And the Chinese embassy in Fiji has urgently collected $1 million worth, or about $160,000 worth of aid material, including drinking water, food, generators, etc. And part of these were collected from Chinese enterprises in Fiji. These are expected to arrive in Tonga on the 27th, and this is the second batch of relief materials donated from China. Let me go to Fu Jie here in Beijing. You have been working in rescue and relief during natural disasters like the floods in Mozambique in 2019, and last year closer home, the floods in central China. Based on your experience, what needs to be done, or what can be done at moments like this to ensure safe drinking water, sanitation, and hygiene?
Well, the first priority is always about saving more lives and provide support to the local community. As we know that people on the ground, they are short of drinking water and food and shelter. These are the necessities at the beginning of a disaster response. I think the second important thing is that to provide a comprehensive assessment of the global, about the general situation of the disaster as a whole, to help the government and also the other stakeholders to compose a general plan of the response and provide better help to the country.
Based on technical knowledge, however, 10 days after such a disaster, how likely do you think anybody who may have been injured or swept away by the tsunami be still found alive, Mr. Fu?
Fortunately, we don't have many casualties this time. It's a very good practice of the local government. But unfortunately, due to the failure of the communication, the outside world received the information very late, so which postponed the response and caused a new problem. Because Tonga is relatively far away from other countries, it provides another challenge for the relief work and also the cargoes to arrive.
Mr. Ochele, more international supplies are coming in, and I believe more will be coming in. Does Tonga have the capacity to receive and distribute these aids? We know that although the international airport was cleared manually, a government statement last Friday said inter-island transportation remains an acute challenge. So how are supplies being distributed among the islands in need?
I have been surprised so far, happily surprised, about the way the Tonga Red Cross has been dealing with the tragedy. And the following day of the volcano, they were already on the spot doing some distributions, helping people to clean up the ash and also evacuating people from dangerous places to more secure places. And together.
It seems that we have lost the connection there. Let me go to Mr. Fu here in Beijing. Another challenge here, of course, is the COVID situation. An Australian defence spokesperson said a plane with relief aid had to turn back on Thursday after notification of a COVID case on board. So, Fu Jie, what sort of impact could such incidents have on relief work?
Well, it's manifold. I think this time the situation is more complex because the country is relatively far away, and it's an island country which provide very more obstacles for the relief to arrive. Unfortunately, at the beginning of the situation, the airport and seaports are closed, and also we can receive little information from the telecommunication because the local telecommunication is offline. So these are the obstacles we have at the moment. But things are changing. I have the information that the airport and seaports are operational, partially operational, and the communication is back online. So it's getting good in the coming days.
Chinese teams have expertise in working during infectious disease outbreaks like the Ebola in West African countries. What is your experience or any takeaways from working amid an epidemic, Mr. Fu?
The epidemics happens with a disaster. It's like side by side, but we are prepared. As a rescue team classified by the INSARAG of the UN OCHA, we're prepared. We have our medical teams, and we deployed side by side. On the one hand, we rescue the people from the debris of other situations, and then our medical workers, our doctors and nurses will provide medical help. And also, thanks to the experiences from the COVID-19, we have our decontamination staffs, and we have certain procedures in place to make sure that where our team deployed, we will be preventative methods to provide to the local communities to make sure that there's no epidemic situations on the ground.
So this was the experience and the expertise you have gathered working in areas where there is an epidemic going on. But not to say this time China has sent any rescue teams. What is the protocol? What is the procedure? Is China ready to send any further aid, for instance, a rescue team?
As we classified international rescue teams under the leadership of the Ministry of Emergency Management. We closely monitor the disaster situation globally. And this time we monitor the situation from the very beginning of the eruption. And we've been working closely with our experts to collect information to come up with better preparations for the deployment if the Tonga government send out a request, and we will respond under the protocols of the United Nations.
I see. So you were on standby at this moment?
Yes.
Okay. I understand that Mr. Ochele is now available online. Mr. Ochele, if you hear me, according to the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, further eruptions cannot be ruled out. So how prepared is Tonga right now, or how prepared is the team in neighboring countries such as Fiji to face another possible eruption, and how safe are emergency workers?
I think what happened, I would even say that it's an opportunity to get prepared even better, and that is the reason why we should continue our efforts. And from ICRC perspective, while other countries like Australia, New Zealand, Japan, and even China, and other organizations, as I said before, Red Cross, they are concentrating their efforts on food, water, and shelter. So ICRC strategy, what we are doing is currently to help the people of Tonga to get in touch with each other and abroad. You know, can you imagine that after 10 days, there are people abroad who are not able to get in touch with their loved ones in Tonga, and then for people in Tonga who are not able to get in touch with their loved one abroad.
Yeah.
That is a difficult situation.
Yeah.
And we have provided sat phones and for Tonga Red Cross, and it is really moving to see hundreds of people lining up every day and to get that free of charge service. And we also made sure that abroad, Chinese Red Cross or American Red Cross or any country where you have a national Red Cross, they are ready to receive people who are planning, who are willing to get information from their family members in Tonga, and all the details of these people will be sent to ICRC, and we will channel it to Tonga Red Cross. So we are doing our best and to make sure that Tonga people, Tonga government, and also Tonga Red Cross, they are up to the level, and they continue to face the challenge. And of course, we are still at the beginning of the process.
Yeah, thank you so much, and the very best luck to all of you. My guest has been Vincent Ochele, Head of Regional Delegation in the Pacific of ICRC, and Fuji Liaison Officer with China Search and Rescue, joining us from Beijing.